In a small village nestled in the heart of an ancient forest, there was a tale that had been passed down through generations. The villagers spoke of the night raven, a mysterious bird whose feathers shimmered in shades of midnight blue and violet. It was said that the raven appeared only on moonlit nights and carried with it both a warning and a promise of change. Long ago, in the time before the story became legend, a young woman named Elara lived in the village. She had grown up with her grandmother, who often told her stories about the night raven, painting vivid images of the bird's graceful flight and the strange magic it wielded. But as Elara grew older, she became more skeptical. Magic was for children and fools, or so she thought. Yet the stories of the raven never left her mind. One evening, as the village settled into a peaceful hush beneath a glowing moon, Elara found herself wandering the forest paths. The air was cool and still, with only the faint rustling of leaves to break the silence. The moonlight filtered through the canopy above, casting long shadows along the ground. Elara had been thinking about her life, her future, and the sense of restlessness that had begun to grow inside her. It was as if she was waiting for something, though she wasn't sure what. Elara's heart quickened as she turned toward the source of the sound. There, perched on the highest branch of a tree, was the night raven. Its feathers glistened with an otherworldly glow, and its eyes, glowing like twin stars, fixed on Elara with an intensity that sent a thrill through her spine. The raven tilted its head as if studying her before letting out a low melodic call that seemed to reverberate in the very air. Night raven, Elara, I have been waiting for you. Elara stepped back, her breath caught in her throat. The stories her grandmother had told her suddenly felt real, and she could feel her skepticism slipping away. She tried to speak, but the words stuck in her throat. The raven spread its wings and took flight, soaring above her in a graceful arc before landing on a nearby rock. Its eyes never left her. Elara, why have you come? Night raven, you are at a crossroads, Elara. The life you have known is slipping away, and soon you will have to choose a path. The village, the forest, everything around you will change, but you must decide whether you will change with it. Elara's mind raced. She had always known she was different from the others in the village. Her thoughts were restless, her heart unsatisfied by the quiet life she led. But she had never dared to voice those feelings, fearing rejection and uncertainty. Elara, change. I don't know if I can. Night raven. Change is not always easy, but it is necessary. It is the nature of all things, life, death, and rebirth. You will soon be faced with a decision that will shape your future. Trust in yourself, and the path will reveal itself to you. The next day, the village was in turmoil. A terrible storm had swept through the forest, causing landslides that blocked the paths and destroyed homes. The villagers gathered to discuss how they would rebuild, but Elara could sense something deeper was at work. The storm had been a warning, just as the raven had foretold. The village was no longer the safe haven it once had been, and the life she had known was no longer certain. That night, Elara returned to the clearing. The moon was full, casting a soft, silvery glow over the forest. She stood in the same spot where the raven had appeared, feeling the weight of her decision pressing down on her. The winds whispered through the trees, carrying with them the promise of change. Night raven, you have come, Elara. I have. I understand now. The change isn't just outside, it's within me. Night raven, the journey ahead will not be easy, but you have the strength to face it. Go, Elara, the world awaits you. With a final piercing call, the raven soared into the night sky, disappearing into the darkness. Elara stood there, alone in the clearing, but she no longer felt lost. She understood that change was not something to fear, but something to embrace. The path ahead would be uncertain, but she was ready to walk it. The night raven had come to her not to show her the way, but to remind her that the power to change her life had always been within her. And so, Elara left the village that night, stepping into the unknown with courage in her heart and the raven's wisdom guiding her steps. From that night forward, the village would always remember the night raven, but for Alara, the journey was just beginning. She would find her way, and in doing so, she would discover that the true magic lay not in the bird, but in the choices we make, and the courage to follow them. And the raven, ever watchful, would always be there, watching over those who dared to change their lives. The end.